Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Protein is the most requested food in the charitable food system, yet makes up only 14% of food distributed. That gap leaves many without access to this important nutrient. There's a new initiative, though, that's being announced this week. It's aimed at filling the protein gap. And here with us to give us the details is Jeff Simmons, CEO of Elanco Animal Health. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you for joining us here today.
Great to be here, Sarah. Thank you.
So, Jeff, talk to us about this just announced public-private coalition that looks to close America's protein gap. What is it all about?
Well, I think you started it off right. We're in the middle of a protein revolution. They say 61% of Americans today are saying we want more protein, and that's being driven by lots of reasons, right? An aging population, the GLP use that's occurring, more proteins being consumed 30 to 50% more with those individuals as well. And as this dietary guideline has changed. And that really was a catalyst to step back and say, hey, the food bank, food pantry system across America, as you just said, you're in the low teens as a percentage of total food. How could we start to move this to, and the question was posed by me and a few others, everybody that grabs those 2 bags of groceries maybe every week at a food pantry across this country, how could they have a higher percentage of protein that matches closer to the dietary guidelines? That number is actually right around 800 million pounds of protein, or 3 billion meals. And there is an initiative that really a coalition of people came together to say, how do we close that? And we've been working on it for about 60 days. And today we announced, right on the eve of World Hunger Day, the plan to do that. And it is actually a coalition to close the protein gap. That's the initiative, a coalition to close the protein gap. And it's made up of hunger advocates like myself and Tony Robbins, where we've given millions of dollars of our own money to create an infrastructure change to Hatch, to America's protein farmers across this country have come together in the major associations, as well as HHS and USDA and now CDC. So it is one of the larger, public-private hunger advocate coalitions, which I think is great. We're all at the same table leaning in to do this, and it's going to be done in a very unique way. Hatch is a nonprofit, the largest nonprofit in this country that's focused and has been for the last decade on taking lower demanded protein that's high value and putting it into the system, not in a charitable based way, but a sustainable way. Hatch buys on a cost plus basis this protein. Think of the leg quarters of chickens, medium eggs, cheese, things that are maybe not as demanded. And that's what's going to go after these 800 million meals. We're going to raise $40 million. That money is pretty much raised now to create an infrastructure. Think supply chain, think cold chain, storage. And then once this system gets set up, this is the great thing. American farmers now have a market for 800 million more pounds of protein to go into the food bank system.
That's terrific. Now we know farmers and ranchers do an outstanding job of producing protein. But there's more to it than that, right? When we're talking about how then do we get it to some of these people that really need it? Walk us through the infrastructure and logistics that are part of this new initiative.
Yeah, so I think we have to remember we don't produce widgets here, right? You know this. I mean, animal protein production is you have a whole animal. And so when certain things are more demanded, I kind of say that Chick-fil-A chicken breasts created a whole lot of hindquarters, or off-season chicken wings. And what Hatch has done is really created a national, we're in over 40 states, system to be able to say, hey, we take the lower demanded. 5% of all the eggs in America are medium sized. The small ones get cracked and put into liquid, and the large ones we all buy at the store. So what we're doing is we're taking this really high value but lower demanded, maybe off-season supply, and actually bringing it in and paying farmers for it. So that's one. And then creating demand out there in the marketplace. So they've got an organization that is out there with the food banks saying, hey, on your budget, right now with the budgets of these food banks, and there's quite a bit, USDA spends $400 million a day, is say, hey, let's get it on the right food. And that's what the government wants. and let's put it in the right, let's lock up supply and demand. That's one. And that's what Hatch does. Then you're exactly right. Then what ends up happening is a producer will say, hey, I will provide on a cost plus basis and make a little money on my medium eggs or my drumsticks. And we've got the demand out there. Now the challenge becomes, hey, we need freezer space. We need a supply chain and a trucking system to get it from point A to point B. And we're actually leaning in on a lot of customers out there that do this every day, protein producers, to actually help provide that capability. Once this infrastructure gets set up, and think about even supply chains and processing plants that may be, we need 3-pound bags of frozen drumsticks that could be then put into, a freezer system that could be then distributed to a food bank that's later distributed to a food pantry. That's what it is. So think supply chain breakdown, think, cold and freezer storage, and then actually the logistics, while Hatch is creating supply and demand on both ends. So this model's been proven. Hatch is at 100 million meals now. They've done over 10 years. Now we're going to take this thing literally from 100 million meals to 3 billion meals over the next 3 years, with an infrastructure needing about 40 million to do that. And we've raised that money to do that.
Now, this is a crowdfunding campaign. What's the advantage of such an approach over perhaps more traditional fundraising?
Yeah, so we've done some of the traditional fundraising, and the advocates, like I said, like myself, Tony Robbins, that has a 100 billion meal challenge. He's leaned in heavily on this, and there's tech giants to small individual, people that have built small NGOs around hunger. So we've created a coalition of advocates. We've created a lot of the major protein players have leaned in with money as well as protein as a way to contribute. And then HHS and USDA have leaned in a little over $7.5 million each. And so what's remaining is now CDC. And what they've done, they did a crowdfunding around actually COVID, is to actually create awareness across the country to be able to say, hey, would you like to be able to lean in as individuals to give to this campaign and be part of this coalition? And what's great about this is a lot of food charity today can be relief driven, which is needed, but the money creates a meal and then there's more need for more charity. This is actually a much more self-sustaining. Once we build this with this funding, your dollars are actually going to go to something that will create, infinite meals going forward once the infrastructure is built. So this is a unique request. One, it's for good food. It's for real food. It's for animal protein that changes communities, changes education, changes the well-being of families, changes dietary habits early, that gets people less dependent on carbs and sugar and less empty calories and more full calories. And two is it allows a sustainable approach to your giving in terms of we're going to create something that's going to be great for American farmers, great for the people that need food, and it's going to be for the right food. And we're going to push that percentage from 14% to over 20% of all the food banks providing animal protein. Everybody wins.
Final thoughts, key takeaways to leave us here with today, Jeff.
Look, this is, I come back, this is a win-win for all parties involved. We all know that American farmers, creating a market that's more domestic, where a lot of this may be going offshore, we're going to create an 800 million pound protein market in the U.S. with cost plus, where value is going to go back to American farmers. That's why I was part of founding Hatch, was, hey, we need farmers to win in America. And two is, think about those 3 bags of groceries going out of a food pantry that might even be for a working family to supplement that, hey, it's good, real food. We are going to create the infrastructure between that farm and those 2 bags walking out of a pantry to actually do it in a way that creates a permanent long-term market where everybody wins. And all of you out there listening to this, you have an opportunity to lean in and be part of this coalition, whether it's contributing or whether it's even you're a farmer out there that says, hey, I want to be part of this coalition. You can reach out to Hatch or the major associations that you're affiliated with, that are leaning in on this also. So it's a win-win. It's a great. I couldn't think of a better way to lean into World Hunger Day to say we're going to do it with real food. We're going to do it in a sustainable way, and we're going to better American agriculture, and we're going to better all those people out there that want better food.
Definitely sounds like a win-win across the board. Congratulations, Jeff, to you and the team that put this all together. Jeff Simmons of Elanco Animal Health, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Sarah.
Likewise, we appreciate all of you in our audience for tuning in. Until next time, for Feedstuffs, I'm Sarah Muirhead.